whether that's right or not.
Um, yeah, I must admit I haven't looked at the trading view chart for well maybe a week or so now because I've been really focusing on getting this trading assistant working
Hmm.
properly. Um, just bear with me a second.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. No problem.
If I don't do this right now, I'll forget about it like I did last week. And
Okay.
I'm pointing everybody to the YouTube channel, and I haven't actually put it on the YouTube channel. So going back to Zoom, I didn't hear the message there. Let me just go back through that. We normally get a message to say, oh, right, so we're live streaming it, and yeah, okay, all right. So um, I'll go to share, and then I'll answer your question. So share screen, and I think it's that one that I want. Right, okay. So are you now seeing my Euro US MT5?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, so yeah, if I'm honest, if I'm going to be available and able to sit and watch the charts, I think I'm going to prefer doing that for a number of reasons. One is that if you're trading for the four crossfire pairs and you're setting up the screen, I'll show you. You should now be able to see four charts on one screen.
Yeah.
If you're trading those four crossfire pairs and you're letting the trading assistant run because you've got to go out to work, there's a possibility that things might go against you and you might actually end up being in four trades and they might all lose. Um, and that's not a good position to be in. Hi, Ellen. Thanks for popping on. Can you see my screen, Ellen?
Hi, Richard. Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right, okay, good. I'm actually recording this. I forgot to record it last week, but never mind.
Oh,
I'll just move you down
sorry,
to.
we made me jump through a few hoops to get here.
uh, okay, so I'm going to go back to the one screen. I'm just making a point about if I'm available to trade manually on Crossfire on TradingView. I think I'm going to do so. I think if yeah, I'm going to use the trading assistant for the times when I'm not able to sit at the screen. So, like on Wednesday afternoon, I do a 10-mile walk on a Wednesday afternoon. I generally miss the trading, but I didn't miss it this week, and I just left the trading assistant running. I did okay. I got a couple of wins, but we're going to have to be careful that we don't set the trading assistant to monitor all four pairs and end up with four losses. We need to find a way. I've asked Oliver about this and said, um, if we're trying to replicate how I would trade, I would normally take the first trade that came along, and if that was say Euro US, I probably wouldn't get into GBP US because it's behaving very, well, it normally behaves very similarly, but it's not doing so today. Look at this chart here, and Euro US is steaming upwards, and GBP US isn't. It's moving sideways. So it's wrong to say that they behave together, but um, Euro CAD and Euro US are behaving similarly, and GBP US and GBP CAD are behaving similarly. But that's something that happens not every day. But because of that's happening, I'm looking at these four charts. If I'm going to get into a Euro USD, I probably don't want to get into a euro card at the same time, because they're both going to go the same way. Now, as it happens, they're both going upwards. So if I get in for a buy, I've got two chances of winning, but I've also got two chances of losing. So I think the trading assistant is going to be good. It can get you into trades, but I think we need to find a way of saying, right, I'm in one trade. Do I really want to get into the other three just because the trading assistant puts me into them? So I've asked Oliver if we could program something into the assistant that says, right, if I'm in one trade, automatically keep me out of the other three, or if you put me into a second one, I want it to be this one or that one or whatever. I want it to be able to give us the choices rather than automatically going for four trades just because we can. So I'm gonna focus on one pair at the minute, and I'm just going to go through because I'm recording this, and I've got somebody in America who's asked me a few questions, and I've said that I'm going to cover them all. So you two have all already heard this, but there's no harm in sort of going over the same points a second time. Eventually, what I want is a video that tells everybody how to set up the charts, and then I don't have to go over it over and over again. Right. So I'm looking at Euro US, and I'm going to go through everything that's on my chart. And I'm going to explain and try and answer the questions that are being asked from the American people who are not able to watch this session. So the first thing I need to say is, you see how these red lines are on? We need to get rid of those. Those are the red lines. Those are the trend lines from this morning's session, and we need to find a way of getting rid of those. Apparently, it's straightforward. I just don't know what it entails. But so you need to ignore those red lines. There are no green lines on this chart, but sometimes if I go back to the four, you can see that there are green lines there. Look. And they're from previous sessions, and we don't really need to see those. So that's just a warning about what to ignore. What's going to happen is that this vertical line here was created. It's saying 1,500 hours. That's because my broker is 2 hours ahead of me in the UK. So that is the 1 o'clock line. And in order to draw the trend lines, we need to wait until it draws a 1:15 vertical line. And it'll then draw the red and the green trend lines. Now, let's assume that that is the highest point in that 15 minutes. What I'm asking Oliver to do is to go back to the nearest higher candle and draw the line from there. So that would be the nearest higher candle. So I want the line to go from that point to that point and then continue. But we've got to wait until the 15-minute expire. These are 1 minute candles. I would normally look at the 15-minute candle, but that's obviously the higher point currently. That is the low point currently. One of those two is a low point. And so I would look for the nearest low, and it would be that candle there. Until Oliver changes that, it'll probably go back at least down to that one. And it does make a slight difference on the live trading. But so we're waiting for it'll be a green line that occurs on the 15-minute candle, or the 15th candle after that one. And we've got this line here, which is news. So it's telling me that at 15:30, which I read as 1:30, because the broker's 2 hours ahead of me. So at 1:30, there is some high impact red flag news. It's telling me that it's on the Canadian dollar, and that is the only news in the next 3 hours. So I'm asking the trading assistant not to take trades from 10 minutes before to 10 minutes after the 1:30 news. When I was trading earlier, I disregarded the news, and it took me into some trades that I won, and it took me into some trades that I lost. And I've arrived at the conclusion that I should stay out of the news, stay out of the way of news. And I'm going to wait at least 10 minutes after the news before I want the trading assistant to get me in. I can set the number of minutes before and after. And I'll show you that in a second. I just want to go through what's actually on my chart. I've actually got 3 moving averages. So this white line, if you hover over it, that's the 200 moving average. I used to have that as a black line on my trading view chart. I've got that's aqua, and that's the 62 moving average. And the third moving average I've got is the 13 moving average. You can change the value of the moving averages to whatever you want, and it'll put them on your screen accordingly. Now, the only other thing I've got on this chart is the Heikin-Ashi smooth candles. So if I hover over that, it'll tell me I'm looking at the Heikin-Ashi smooth candles, and they're all 1-minute candles. You've got, although it says smooth, you've got quite a lot of wicks on them. I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is the change in the HA. So the Heikin-Ashi was red, and then at that point it changed to green. So that's an important time. That will help me to get into a buy, because what we're waiting for we're waiting for the fifth. There, it's just happened. So we've now got the green trend line. That's happened at 15 minutes past 1. It says 15:15. It actually means 13:15. So it's drawn the trend line from the highest point in that 15-minute space. It's looked left, and it's gone to the same candle I would have chosen if I was trading manually that's just by coincidence, unless Oliver's already tweaked it. I don't think so, because on the red trend line, I would have taken that candle. Those two are both the same. Actually, I'm looking at the Heikin-Ashi down there. So I'm looking at that candle being lower than that candle, and then looking left, and I would have gone to that. So my red trend line wouldn't have been as steep as that one is. So we're still using the old system. I'm waiting for Oliver to change that. It doesn't make a drastic difference, but now what I'm looking at is the trading assistant is saying, okay, so where is price in relation to the 2 trend lines? Is it above the green trend line? Well, the answer is no, it's not above the green trend line. Is it below the red trend line? Yes, it is below the red trend line. So the trading assistant automatically thinks, okay, I'm looking for sells. But then it goes to the Heikin-Ashi, and it says, well, the Heikin-Ashi is telling me that we're in a buy mode, that the price is increasing. It's leveling off, and it may well change any second now. But at the minute, I can't get into a sell, because the Heikin-Ashi, the latest Heikin-Ashi change was a change from down to up. I'm waiting for the equivalent of a wave down candle, and it's just happened there, look. So the Heikin-Ashi is now confluent. Confluent, is that the right word? Congruent, I think I'm looking for. It's below the red trend line, so I'm thinking sells. We've now got a change of Heikin-Ashi, and that is now congruent with the trend line. So I now start to think, how is my moving averages doing? You can switch off the moving averages. You might still have the moving averages on your screen, but the trade assistant will ignore them unless you've got them switched on in the settings. So I've got the 200 and I've got the trading assistant set to take account of the yellow trend line. There, well, we've just got it into a trade. So this is Euro USD. This is the one we're looking at. It's just placed a sell trade. So I'll close that. Just so it's that way. The reason it's taken the trade, and you see, you've got a little red arrow telling me, and I've got a green dotted line. So it's telling me it got me in for a sell at that point. It's given me the stop loss up there, and it's given me, if I zoom in a little bit, it's given me my take profit down there. So the reason it did that was because I'm below the red trend line. I was on green Heiken-Ashes. The previous candle changed to red Heiken-Ashes. So that's two ducks lined up. The third duck is the yellow, the 13 is lower than the 62. I've just got in a GPP card as well. But I'm just going to close that. So the moving averages are in the correct sequence. You've got 200, you've got 62, you've got 13. So everything's looking good. And the last thing I need to look at is what we call the water atta. We're still calling it WAE. And it's telling me that the explosion line is pointing upwards away from the dead zone line, and the histogram is above the explosion line. So I'm now in. All of those four ducks have lined up perfectly, and I'm now in a trade. What it's telling me is that I'm 0.7 pips in profit. It's telling me that the current spread is 0.3 or 0.4 of a pip. So it's a tiny little spread, and it's counting down the number of seconds to the next candle. You need this little panel here to have numbers in. If it's got lots of zeros, then you ain't going to get in a trade because your water atta is disconnected from your main chart and it won't get you into a trade. So when you come to setting up, you need some numbers in here. We're now having a bit of a pullback. Price is going back up and we're now in drawdown, 1.3, 1.4 pips. And that's being reflected down here. You see that these were really, this was dark red. Oliver's put this to orange. I used to have it to a very pale red or a pink. But basically, it's telling me that the sellers are stepping down a little bit. Not unusual for price to go down and then sort of do a recheck, a retest and go back up and then start to come back down again. I'm going to have a look at the other pair that we've got a trade on just to double check everything. So it looks as if it's taken me out of that other trade. So it got me in and then took me out. Now there, yes, it got me in down here, look. I'll make this bigger. So you've got a red arrow pointing downwards. That was when it got me in. It really shouldn't have got me in because that wasn't, well, I guess the value of that white line must have been greater than the value of my orange line, otherwise it wouldn't have got me in. And it must have been momentarily above the orange line. So it did what I asked it to do. I asked it to get into a trade when the explosion line was above the dead zone line, and it was obviously for one candle. But then price decided to go up in the other direction. And the reason it took me out of the trade was because the Heiken-Ashi changed from red to green. So the change of the HA was the reason it got me out. It didn't allow price to go all the way back up to my stop loss. It got me out because the change of direction, the change of the Heiken-Ashi candles occurred on that candle and it said, okay, I don't want to lose 3 pips. I'm going to get out right now. If I put on the toolbox at the bottom, it'll tell me that if I go to the history, it'll tell me that that trade there on the 9th of the 8th, which is that one that it got me in and then got me out again. It got me out minus 364 rather than oh, that's weird. It was supposed to take me out at the stop loss, and I would have been losing 242. In fact, I'm actually losing 364. So there's something happened there. I'll look back at that later. And this is why you've got to be careful. This is my concern about trading 4 pairs, because if that happens 4 times at the same time, you're in trouble. So we're still in profit on Euro US. Oh no, we're on GBP CAD. No. I'm going to go back to Euro US.
Richard, if you've got all the pairs on one trading set up on the same magic number, though, it won't lose you more than 2%, will it, or whatever your
well, I can dictate how much it's going to lose.
Yeah. But if you've got them set up like that, even if it got you into 4 pairs, if they were all losing, it still wouldn't go past whatever your setting is.
Well, it shouldn't do, but it appears that it did on that GBP CAD, which I'll have to look into. But you make a good point. You can, if you're trading the 4 crossfire pairs, you can put them all under one magic number and ask it to treat the 4 pairs as being in one basket, and you can set limits on how much you lose in the basket. So you're dead right. What I've tried to do on this one, I've tried to have 4 pairs with a trading risk of 0.25%. And the actual amount I should be losing should be £242.07 per pair. But what I noticed was that on that pair that it got me in and got me out again, it lost me more than 242.
Yeah.
So I need to look at that. Now, it's probably something to do with the spread in the stop loss. So the price was 7504, I'll call that. It should have got me out at 7507, and it actually set my stop losses. So it's altered my stop loss, and it's got me out at 75081. So it's a little bit higher than the stop loss, but the stop loss is higher than I intended. I intended to, if I was getting at 750, and I'm going to round that up to 4, I wanted to get me out at 7507 because I'm asking it to get me out when it goes 3 pips. But because of the spread, it's got me out. Can you see that the GBP CAD, which is the pair I'm talking about, it's got quite a high spread. It's got 1.7 as opposed to 0.4 on that pair. So maybe we need to ask it to move my stop loss to 4 pips rather than 3 pips. I'm going to go through my settings. We're still in this trade, but we're in drawdown. Now, whilst I've got these 4 pairs on, there's something interesting. Well, it's actually saying we're not going to get into any trade because of the news. It's now 27 minutes past, and basically it's not. I'm not allowing it to trade 10 minutes before the news and 10 minutes after the news. So it's telling me we've already taken a trade, and actually it didn't take me out. It left me in it. that is an issue. If it gets you into a trade, you stay in it, even though you recognise that you've got news. So that is one issue. This one is saying I'm in the trading zone, but I'm not trading because of the news. This one is the same, and this one is already traded. Now, this already traded means that it won't take another trade on this pair in this session. Now, that one's saying already traded, so that's saying once you either win or lose on this trade, I'm not going to get you into this pair again in this session. So then I'll only be looking at the alternate pairs. But there's nothing happening in a minute because of the news. But I am in a trade and I'm down 105 pips. So whilst there's nothing happening, I'm going to go through my settings, unless there are any questions.
Yeah.
So this is the one that we're actually in a trade. We've got the mark there, which is the stop loss. We've got the mark there, which is the take profit. It got me in at that point. Price has gone in the wrong direction. I'm not going to panic. I could get out at a loss, but there's still chance. The only reason I would be thinking about getting out is because the news might impact and it might take it in totally the wrong direction. So I could get out with $129 loss, but because I'm trading on a demo, I'm just going to leave it in just to make the point of the danger of being in around news. As you know, I wouldn't normally trade news if I was trading manually. What's happening here is the explosion line is pointing back down towards the dead zone line, and the histogram is way below the dead zone line. So there's very little going on, but what is going on is prices moving upwards, and that's working against me. It's just over 3 pips at the minute. So with the broker spray, that probably take it up to, well, where the line is. That's going to be the limit of this trade. And I always think when we're in that sort of area, that price is going to go back up and test that 200 moving average. It's gone just above the 200 there. It's gone just above the 200 there. It might well do that when the news occurs. But anyway, we'll watch and see. This is $100,000 account, so I'm not really worried about $170. And providing it takes me out when it gets up to that point, I'm only supposed to be losing 240. No big deal. Let me just move myself out of the way there if I can. Put that down there. Okay, so what if anybody wants to download the Crossfire, or if anybody watching the recording, you need to request the Crossfire Trading Assistant. But basically, you know that you're trading Crossfire because it says SFF Crossfire, and then above it says Crossfire EA, that's Expert Advisor 1.03 version number 1. The important thing is you need the blue hat. You need that hat to be blue. If it's not blue, you're not going to take any trades. I've just noticed that the news has worked in my favor, but it's pushing price back down again. So the important thing is you need a blue hat. And the way to deal with that is you've got a box up here that says algo trading, which is what we're doing, but we need this to be green. If it's red, you're not going to have a blue hat. If you put the navigator panel on to the left here, not only have I got a blue hat on this chart, I've also got blue hats on the other 3 pairs. So that's telling me I'm good to trade. if you don't have blue hats on all the 4 pairs, then you've got an issue. And I'll talk about that in a second. What you need to have for Crossfire is SFFWAE, and then these other indicators came along with the other trading assistant, but you certainly need the Heiken-Ashi smooth. You can have it, but you don't need the whole average because it doesn't impact on the actual trade. But you need the show pips, which is this here, and you need a blue hat on the Crossfire EA. So you need all of those blue hats. There are people who have said, I've got algo trading to green, but I still don't have a blue hat. Well, the only possibility, well, there are 2 possibilities. One is if you're trying to trade using the Wada Atta and it's not connected, you'll see that these numbers are all 0, and it will say no trade, and it'll keep you out of trades because it's not taking account of the Wada Atta. So you need the Wada Atta to have numbers on it, and I'll talk about how you do that. If you right click and you go to your expert lists and show properties. So you know how you've got your settings under inputs. 1 or 2 people have missed out because if you click on common, right down at the bottom, there's a little checkbox that says allow algo trading. If that is not checked, you won't be able to get into any trades. And 1 or 2 people have missed that. I'll need to be on a different pair to turn that off because it'll take me out of this trade if I turn it off. But that is a common mistake. It comes under common, and the only thing it does is this box is way out of sight. You may not see that. It needs to be ticked to allow algo trading. And then on your inputs, I'll use the time that we've got. We've got 5 minutes left before it's going to take any new trades. So on my inputs, and these variables, you can change all of these things. So we're using the risk percentage to calculate the loss. So in other words, my percentage of 0.25 calculates that I should lose no more than 0.25%. It works out that I've got a $100,000 account. Well, it works out 25%, sorry, 0.25 of the balance. So it's working out 0.25 of that balance, and it's putting it in there at 24207. That is what it's supposed to limit my losses to on each pair. I've got 0.25, and really we started out by the risk to reward of 2. So we were trying to make risk to reward of 1 to 2. I've increased that to 2.2 to give me to reflect more accurately. So if I win this trade, I should win I should be winning 0.5%. But because of the spread out in monetary terms, it would be less than 0.5%. So I'm looking to win $500 on this. If this goes to my take profit, I'm looking to make $500. But because of the spread, I'll end up making less. I'm adjusting that by making that 2.2, and it seems to work. So my stop loss is 3 pips. My take profit is 6 pips. I've got a magic number, which is on all of my Crossfire pairs. I've given it a name, and you can change that, by the way. You can just click on it and change it if you want to. If you want to recognize it some other way. You can change the magic number, click on it. I think I'm double clicking there. Let me just, yeah, I'm double clicking on that to get it to allow you to change it. So move the chart to the left. That's really moving the bars away from this panel here. spread filter, I'm asking it not to get me in if the spread is actually more than 2 pips. So I'll just go back and show you that. So I'm currently on Euro US, the spread is 0.3 pips. What I'm saying to the trading assistant is, if any of these pairs go above 2 pips, then keep me out of the trade. And it'll come up here and it'll say, number 2, no trading, spread too high. So that's okay, 7, because that's 0.7, 0.8. This is getting close to my limit. It's 1.9, and it may well not get me into a trade because at the time the next candle opens, that could be 20, which is 2 pips. So it'll keep me out on GBP CAD. It will also keep me out because I've already traded on that particular pair. But what have I done there? I've moved it too far. Let me go back to expert lists. You see how these candles are getting hidden by this panel. You can change that. You can, instead of 35, I can change it to 50. So if I double click on that and change it to 50, and then click, and when I come out, it'll move whatever pair out. There we go. It moved it there. I must have been on GBP card, so it's now moved it, so I can see that. You just need to move me out of the way. So you can do that on all the pairs until you're satisfied with it. I'll go back to this one. Because there's a couple of other changes I've made to the when you get the Crossfire Expert Advisor, these will be preset, and you need if you want to change them, they're all changeable until you get everything satisfactory. So the maximum spread I've got set to 2 pips. I don't feel it. Well, maybe you could adjust that to 3, and then you'll get into more trades. But maybe you wouldn't want to get into a trade that would have 3 pip stop loss. I've been doing okay on 2 pips. The expert protection, I've never changed that. I've got it switched. Sorry, I've got it's this partial close settings I've never took, so I've got it on false and it doesn't apply. The expert protections, the daily basket, so that's the 4 pairs I'm trading at the minute. The total of the 4 pairs will lose me 1% of my balance at the start of the day, and the 4 pairs combined will give me a total potential profit at the start of the day of 2.2. So I've changed that to match 2.2 up there. Partial close settings I haven't touched at all. I'm going to do something with those later. The new settings, I've got mine on true. If you double click, changes to false. Double click, changes to false. You can change the number of minutes. Just double click on them. And then if you double click on calendar importance and then click again, I think it's a right click, is that? Right. There we go. I'll get a drop down menu and it asks me to put a setting on it. I've got mine on high, so it only keeps me out of red flag news. It ignores low impact and medium impact. The other thing that I've changed is this: when it comes out of the box, it's set on 120 because we used to trade Crossfire between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. or between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. So 8 a.m. I prefer. So this is 180 bars. It's 180 minutes. It was set on 120. I changed it to 180. It's telling me there that at 1 o'clock it'll start trading, it'll come out at 3 o'clock, but that's not true. It's going to stay in until 4 o'clock. It just hasn't reflected up there. And my 6 o'clock goes on till 9 o'clock because I've told it to operate from for 180 minutes. Green and red. On the crossfire trading assistant, we don't have to put the end of session times on. We just don't need to put the start. So that's a 6 o'clock start and a 1 o'clock start. You don't need to put the end times in on this expert advisor. What's the word I'm looking for? You've got exit signal settings. So if you double click on that, you get a drop down menu and it'll say exit on HMA change. That's the whole moving average. Well, I don't have that as part of my expert advisor. I do have exit on HA change. So that's when the Heikin-Ashi change from down to up or up to down. Or you can have none. You can have it just to take you out when it reaches the take profit. I prefer the exit on Heikin-Ashi change. The values of the Heikin-Ashi I haven't changed. That's what came out of the box. I have changed the look back. I can't remember what they were, but I've changed mine to 20 because it was keeping me out of some trades. I'll explain that in a second. I've also got a change here, FVG fair value gap. I've changed that to false, but I've also had to put the 2 zeros in there. I can't remember what they were, but you need them set to 0, otherwise you get the fair value gap displayed on your screen, but it has nothing to do with the indicator, with the trading assistant. The HMA settings are irrelevant because I'm not using the HMA. So HMA indicator I've got on false. I do currently have the MA crossover working. You can change that to false if you want it to ignore the MAs. True, I'm going to put back on true. I've got my moving averages 13, 62, 200. You can have them any values you want. And I don't think I've changed anything else below that. So I just need to go back and explain that. So can you see where we had the Heikin-Ashi were red and then they changed to green and then they changed back to red. So that was a point at which the trading assistant got me in for a sell because there was a change of, it was a wave change. We used to call it a wave up, wave down. Well, that was what got me in because I was below the red line. There was a wave down. The moving average was all in the right sequence. And at that point, when it got me in, why haven't I got I haven't got a little, can't see the little arrow where it got me in for some reason. But anyway, it got me in round about here. Must have been here. Well, that's strange. My water atta has changed its colours. I'll show you how it changed those colours in a minute. So I'm now 3.8, 3.9 pips up. It's getting to be not far away. I'm up $324. What I used to do is say, well, do I want to stay in this trade, or do I want to take me $300? I just go back through the ducks and I say, right, so I'm still below the red trend line. I think I've got to ignore that red trend line because it's from this morning. Yes, so that's the one I'm interested in. I'm below it. I'm still in the red Heikin-Ashi. They're getting bigger, slightly bigger. They were quite small there. They've got bigger. They've been consistent. The moving averages, 200 is pointing down, 62 is pointing down, 13 is a bit more volatile. That's having a bit of an upward move at the minute. But overall, I'm still going to stay in. That has now changed colour. Everything was red, it's now changing to green, so the buyers are coming back in. So potentially it's a good time to get in, but if that Heiken-Ashi changes from red to green, it'll automatically take me out of the trade. So I won't make my $500, but it'll get me out. Currently, it'll take me out at $226. If I want I prefer this blue line to be white, and I prefer that orange line to be a bit bolder. So I can change those and just left click, go to indicator list. I think it's always worth looking at these before you start trading anyway, because sometimes the assistant will put additional. So you can see I've got 2 HA smooth there, but I only need 1. They're both the same value, I'm guessing. If I look at that one, it's 38. And if I look at that one, that's also 38. So it's given me 2 identical smooth, but what it's doing is it's using up a bit more. I'm not sure if it's memory or what, but I've been told that you only need 1, so I'm going to delete that one. So I've got the show pips, which is that bar there. I've moved. They were across here, but I found that was a bit messy, so I'll move mine across to the side. You can do that. The moving averages, I've got 13, 62, 200. You can check those. You just double click on them. 13 is the yellow one. 62 is the aqua one. 200 is the white one. You can change the width of the lines as well. And the HA smooth, we've already looked at that. That's set on 38. The indicator is the SFFWAE. If I look at the values on there, I haven't changed the values. What I'm interested in is the colors. Oh, sorry, if I go to common, there's no algo box at the bottom of that one, but there are colors that can be changed. And I'm going to change mine back to where they were before, which is white. And I'm going to make them a bit thicker. I'll get Oliver to make those defaults. You don't have to change them, but I think that's better than it was when it was dark blue. I'm looking at potentially the Heiken-Ashis are sort of getting a bit smaller, and maybe prices going above the Heiken-Ashis. Maybe that's a good time to get out. If I was trading live, I'd be seriously thinking about manually taking myself out of that. The way to do that, if you're on this chart, you can just click on that little X there. I'm not going to click on it right now. I'm going to wait and see. But it will probably, if I click on that X there, there'll be a pop-up asking me if I'm sure I want to use one-click trading. So it'll delay me getting out. The other way, no, I won't talk about that. It confuse things. So those other 3 pairs should be still looking for trade. But basically, what I'm interested in is these 4 hats and a blue hat there. That's saying that I'm all good. I'm in algo trading. I can get rid of that panel if I don't want it, and I can go back to the 4 pairs. Oh, something else I need to mention. If you've got this where it says manage profiles, you can either use that there and manage your profiles. I've got the default, the 4 pairs that I'm looking at the moment are on a profile called default. If I switch to CF, it will give me the morning pairs. So the other way you can do that is you can go to is it file? Yes, you click on file. You've got profiles there, and you can create a new profile and then save it as. So I've saved that one as CF and I've saved that one as default. It just means the 4 morning pairs are on a different profile to the 4 afternoon pairs. So when I finish this session, I can click on CF and it'll give me the 4 morning pairs ready for tomorrow morning. So that somebody was asking me how I've only got four pairs on my navigator window. I've got these 4 pairs on this profile, and I've got the other 4 pairs on a different profile. I find it's good practice to go through my expert lists before every session, and I find it's good practice to go through my indicated list before every session, because otherwise some people seem to be having issues getting into trades, and I found that just going through my or just double clicking, going through my expert list and going through my indicator list before I start every session, it does seem to avoid some of the issues that some people are getting. What else can I say? Some people have shown me their screens and they've got volumes ticked, and it's not appearing on mine, but you've got little green bars at the bottom of the chart, and I don't need those, so I've unticked those. There's a thing called grid. You can put the grid on. Can you see the grey lines? I don't need those, so I've unticked them. I like a nice clean chart. So I'm going to go back to the 4 windows and we'll get into the end of the session. So if you've got any questions. So you can arrange these 4 charts any way you want. You can arrange them vertically, or you can arrange them horizontally, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can just, I think the word for this is, well, you can cascade them, so you've got them like that, or I like mine tiled, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I get rid of this chart, this should automatically fill the gap, so I'll take that off. Get rid of navigate. No, it hasn't done it automatically. So what I find is if I go back to the window and I put them on something different and then go back to tile windows, it should fill the space. There we go, it filled them. There was something else. Something else I was going to mention. In the meantime, I'm going to look. We're in a trade here, so it's saying already traded. It won't get me into another trade once we get out of this trade. It's on this pair. It hasn't taken the trade yet, so it's saying I'm currently looking for a sell signal because the Heiken ashes are red. But what it will do, just to explain something else, if I make this bigger. So on this pair, I'm looking for a selling opportunity. I'm below, that's the 3 o'clock. That's a 14.59. I don't know. It's just taken me out. So the trade I was in, it's just taken me out. On this one, it's still looking for trades. I'm below the red trend line, so I'm looking for sells. I'm in a wave down. One of the things it does is it looks back to see if we've got a recent wave down. Now, I think it'll probably keep me out of this trade because it's looking like it's going to look back 20 Heiken Ashi candles for a wave change, and there isn't a wave change within those 20. So let me just double check, 1451, and that was, yeah, so there's 21 candles since that one changed from green to red. So it's definitely going to not get me into a selling trade because it's looking back 20 candles and there isn't a wave change. It was in a wave down before that. You can change it. You can change it to 25 candles if you want to. Or you can change it to 15. That's entirely up to you. But it ain't going to get me into a sell because we haven't had a recent wave change. We've got the moving averages in the right order, but we don't have the Wadata. The histogram needs to be above the white line, so that's not going to get me in. The next trade it will get me in on this pair will be a buy. So it'll look for a change of Heiken-Ashes from red to green. It'll recognize that we've now got a wave change, but then it'll say, hang on a minute though, I need to be above that 3 o'clock trend line. So it won't get me in until we're above the green trend line and we've got a wave change. And we'll need the 13, the 62 to be above the 200. And we want them to be pointing upwards. And we'll want this to be green and above the, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. The spread is 1.5, it was 1.6. It's getting close to my limit of 2 or 20. So that's another factor that will keep me out. I'll look at the other pair. So we'll look back at this Euro US and see why it took me out. We were in a wave down, and on the settings, I've got it to get me out, not to wait until it goes back up to the stop loss, but to get me out when there's a wave change, and there's a wave change. So it didn't get me out on the first one, it got me out on the second candle when that green Heiken-Ashi became a red when the red Heiken-Ashi became a green Heiken-Ashi. On that candle, it took me out. So it took me out at a loss, but not, hopefully, not at the full. Well, there again, it's gone to more than. No, it's that one there. It got me out at a small profit, £40, $40.50. But it didn't allow me to get into any drawdown. So it's done me a good turn there. It got me out before price went up. However, look what's happened with price. It's now coming back down again. But it did what I asked it to do. I asked it to get me out when that wave changed, when the Heiken-Ashes changed colour. Now that sounds like I've got another trade running. No, maybe it's on the other. I've got Paul's running on the other, on a different broker. So the Tyler windows there. Right, I'm currently not in any trades on the crossfire pairs. I've already traded on that one, so it won't get me in it again. It's looking for a sell signal, but we don't think that's going to happen because we've been in the Heiken-Ashi down for an awful long time. It ain't going to get in there. It's looking for a trade on this pair, but if I'm looking back, there's more than 20 red candles, so it's not going to get me in. And this one, it's looking for a sell signal, but it should actually be looking for a buy signal because we've got green Heiken-Ashi. I'll look a bit closer at that one. So my 3 o'clock trend, there's my green trend line. I'm above the green trend line. I don't know what that one is. That's the one I'm looking at, 3 o'clock. I'm above that. I've got green Heiken-Ashes, and they changed recently, but my moving averages are not right. this is still pointing down, and the 62 and the 13 are still below the 200. So it won't get me in until those two moving averages cross over the 200. And then it'll come down here and check that this is green, and the histogram is green and above the white line, and the white line pointing upwards. So that's why I'm going to let them run until, used to be 3 o'clock, I'm now letting them run until 4, but I'm only potentially it won't get me in for a trade there. It won't. No, actually, that's changed, isn't it? That was telling me it wasn't going to get me in for a trade, and it's now saying it's looking for a sell trade. So maybe Oliver's programmed in not to get you in for a second trade until a certain period of time has elapsed. But anyway, we'll sort that out. I'm going to take a look at Paul's. Does it sound? Yes, Paul's. That's Paul's trading assistant. Just got me in at 14:01. So 2 minutes ago, got me in for a sell. And if I zoom in, so there's my stop loss, there's my entry point. Got me in for a sell, and look what's happened. Price has gone the other way. Now, so prices, you've got a fair value gap in the upward direction, so that's not looking good. But you've got the stop loss mark there, you've got the entry point mark there, and you've got the take profit mark down there. This is more to do with the fair value gap, and you've got the whole average, which is changed from red to green. It changed back there. It was red at that point, and now it's changed back to green. So bit of conflicting information there. We look as if price is going up, although we're in a sell. Although on this pair, I did make a full 2% this morning. Right, there we go. It's just taken me out because you've got a blue arrow there. You've gone from red Heiken-Ashes to green Heiken-Ashes. Didn't take me out on the first one, but it's taken me out on the second one. So the stop loss was up here, but it's taken me out before the stop loss because there's been a change of direction. Change of direction on the Heiken-Ashes, not on the actual candles. The actual candles are the same, prices going down, but the Heiken-Ashes have changed to green. The whole moving average has changed to green as well. So this is the trading assistant without the whole TA. I haven't installed that one yet. I've got it there, but I haven't installed it. So something's bugging me. I was going to mention. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. I'll go back to my 4 pairs. There. I was going to point out that there's a lot of things that I'm having to explain about these charts, which is not really to do with the trading assistant, it's to do with the MT5 and how that differs from the trading view that we used to use. What you need to do is go to help, and there's help topics. There you go. You've got a whole, if you click on this, it'll take you to the next session. You've got a whole raft of instructions of how to use the MT5, because it is different to MT4 and it is different to TradingView that we used to use. So really what I'm suggesting is I'm explaining, some of the things that I'm explaining are really to do with the MT5, not to do with the trading assistant. I'm quite happy to do it, and I'm sure Paul is too, but you can find out for yourself by doing a bit of homework on that. So there's I believe there are videos in there as well. We'll go back to the beginning.
There's all the instructions anyway that how you set this one up on MT5, Richard. Are you gonna do anything like that to actually so we know how to set it up? Or
All right, okay. Well, yeah,
I'm
I
just
need to
curious.
I do need to do a video on that. What I'll how long have I got? All right, it's 8 minutes past 2. Have you got like 5 minutes for me to really quickly do it, or would you prefer me to do it on a separate video?
It's up to you. I don't mind. It's up to you.
All
I'm
right,
just curious. That's all.
I'll do it really quickly. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to follow along. What I'm doing now is I'm going to Facebook, and no, I'm not. Yes, I am. I'm not showing you this, but I've got to Facebook, and in the chat, in the Facebook Messenger chat, you've got a chat on Crossfire, but there's only me, Paul, and Oliver in that, and then you've got a chat on Paul's training assistant. If you want me to send you, I need to send you two things that you need to download. So there's the SFF Crossfire EA, and there's a SFF WAE. You need to download that onto your computer. I'll go through. I'm going through this for the benefit of a couple of people in America who are struggling with this bit. So once you've downloaded onto your computer those two items, you'll get them. You probably can't see my screen, but I'm going ahead anyway. You'll get them in your mine's in File Explorer because I'm on a Windows laptop. You'll get if you then go to your downloads. I'm going to have to find a way of doing this on a video. You'll see the two things that you've just downloaded on mine it says under today. It tells me I've downloaded it today. They're the only two items I've downloaded today. So what I need to, oh no, sorry. It asks, when you download them, it asks you, do you want to save them or do you want to save them as? And the important thing is you've got to save them as, and you've got to delete them. I'll take you back to my screen. This screen. Can you see how it says EA 1.03 brackets 1? And you need to save it as everything there, but without the brackets and the 1. So you'll end up. Well, no, you can save that. Fine, no, I'll put the navigator on. You need to end up with the Crossfire 1.031 in your data folder, and I will need to do a video on that. But the important thing, and this is the bit that the people in America, in particular, have been struggling with. They've downloaded the Wada Atta explosion, I believe that's short for, and it's come with a version, and it says version number 2 or version number 3 or version number. You've got to save it without that. So if you were saving this, you would take out what's in the brackets. And the Wada Atta, you would save it without what's in the brackets. That has been the cause of a lot of problems. And so you need to save WAE on its own and then load it onto your MT5.
Okay.
And once you've got it into your, what you do is you go into your data folder, and when it decides to appear, is it going to appear? There we go. So I've got my data folder there, and you just need to move them into your MQL5. And then, well, on my.
Just to let you know, Richard, your data folder is not showing on your shared screen, in case you think you're recording it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's. I wonder if I can go back and share. Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah. I tell you what, if I stop sharing and then I go back to share, it gives me some options. Right, I think I can share it now. Can you share it? Can you see it now? Well,
yeah.
Well, that's the wrong thing. But basically, when I've downloaded these two items to my computer, it appears here. So I've got the Wada Atta and 1 in brackets and Wada Atta 2 in brackets. You need when you download them, you need to save them as, and just save them as SFFWAE without the brackets. I think you're okay with the Crossfire AE. Well, I've got the 1 bracket there, so you're okay with it. But you must download it and save it as SFFWAE, and then when you take it to your data folder, I'll get rid of that and I'll try and so I just need to share. I have my data folder, didn't I? So yes, I can now. Yeah. So on the data folder, let's say this is the one I want to put in. I want to put on my charts. I would have to move this into MQL. Everybody's computer is different, so may not work like this on yours. But the way I do it is, I just drag that up to MQL, and then I open up my MQL, and I've got it there. I need to put this in my experts, this experts at the top. So I just drag it. When the computer decides to do what I'm asking it. So I drag it up to experts, and it's now in my experts. And when I go along to expert advisors, I can click on that, and it will offer me a refresh button. And I just refresh it, and it'll appear here. What I don't have there is the WAE for some reason, but I do the same with the WAE. I'll transfer it to my MQ5, and then I'd open my MQ5, and I'll move. I will change it from being down here in the bottom, and I will put it under indicators. So I put the trading assistant under experts, and I put the Wada Atta under indicators. And then you go back to your data folder, and I need to get the hang of this from the video, don't I? So I'll go back to my data folder, which has now disappeared, and just click refresh, and there you go. Right, okay. So hopefully the people who are struggling with that will have a better idea how to. The important thing that everybody, including me, by the way, I missed the fact that when you download it, you don't just save it; you have to save it as and delete the numbers. So the numbers in brackets, you just delete that, and then it works. And the way they check that it's working is you have some numbers, you have some values in here, in this panel here. They're not all, if it's not working, they're all zeros. If it's working, they're changing, the numbers changing all the time. and that's how you know if it's working. Some people have been saying they haven't taken a trade since the end of July, and that's probably because it's something to do with that. And when they've downloaded it, they've simply saved it, and what they should have done is save it as. Okay, so I've done about as much as I can on this session, so I'm going to stop sharing, and I shall be back on Tuesday.
Can I just ask one very quick question, Richard, please?
Yeah.
If you don't know the answer, let's not spend too long on it. But do you remember last week I shared a copy of my Crossfire screen because I hadn't got the word ATA, and you said you thought I'd got the volume across the bottom instead?
Yeah.
I still can't. Every time I load Crossfire, I get that volume. I can put the word ATA on as well, but I've still got that volume line across the bottom.
Okay.
If you don't know, then let's not spend ages on. But I thought you might just say, "Oh yeah, it's so and so."
I think I know the answer. And I'm now sharing my screen, and if I just choose one of these, get rid of view. What I think it's to do with, Helen, is are your green bars down just where my cursor is now?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay. If you double click until you get your experts.
Yeah.
Click on that and go to properties.
Yes.
No, that's not what I meant to do. That's not what I meant. Just ignore that. What did I mean? That's not what I want. Oh, I know what it is. I know. Yeah. Click on that and get your experts. Well, no, you just need this panel. You know how when I clicked on that, I got the grid.
Yeah. Sorry about my dog having a fit in the background.
Don't worry. I believe it's this one here, volumes. And if I click on.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. I've been looking everywhere for what to do with that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And the other thing is, where it says trade levels, that puts the little blue and the red arrows on your candles when you're in a trade. That's about as much as I know about that panel, but I do.
That is lovely. Thank you so much.
I noticed the grid worked and I noticed the volume worked. So I'm going to take the grid off because it just confuses me. And I'm going to call it a day. I'll put this into the Discord channel. It'll also be in my YouTube channel, and hopefully that has helped some people who can't get on this session. But I'll be back again on Tuesday. So if anybody's got any questions for Tuesday, just either send them along in advance or put them in the chat or just speak up. You know, I think I'm going through a period where I'm going to be answering a lot of questions. Hopefully, we'll then be able to put everything into one video, and we won't need to do the live sessions.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, Richard. Thanks.
No problem at all. I should catch you on Tuesday.
Have a good weekend.
Richard. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Cheers now.